welcome Troy Aikman, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, the tower of football power. Troy, great to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
Troy, I've known you like since the Korean War.
For a long time. It's been a long time.
Yes. Troy, when did you know as a kid, like, dang, I'm an awesome athlete? I mean, not that you know, because you're a very humble guy. I mean, when did you know, like, man, I'm pretty good?
I picked it up pretty quickly. I mean, right from the very beginning. I started playing organized sports when I was about 7 years old, and it just kind of came naturally for me. I worked at it, but it also was very natural. And so I had good hand-eye coordination. I wasn't the fastest guy, but I had relatively good quickness, at that age. And, I could shoot a basketball.
I was blown away. I played basketball with this guy, and I was like, I cannot believe how good a basketball player you were. You are, Troy.
Well, I was.
I'm like, you remember that game we played back in the day?
You don't remember that?
I do.
You did?
I was a good shooter.
No, you're better. Troy, you're being
I could
humble,
shoot,
man. Yeah,
but-
you were rebounding, passing, shooting, defense.
I was one of those, and I probably enjoyed basketball more than the other sports that
Really?
I played. Well, because it was the one that I was the least good at, but
Yeah.
even though I was decent, and I also knew it was the one that I wasn't going to try to further. I knew I was not going to go on and play college basketball,
Yes.
so I tended then to not put as much pressure on myself when I was growing up playing basketball, and probably had more fun as a result of that playing it.
You were an amazing parent. I mean, I know you, obviously, know people that know you, etc. I was recently just on your Twitter feed looking. You're serious about parenting.
Yeah.
What did you learn from a quarterback that you translate and transfer to your kids?
Well, it's a really good question. Interestingly enough, I think about that a lot. I mean, I think about, I guess, kind of what motivated me as an athlete, and then how does that then translate as to how I raise my kids, right? And I try not to overdo it, but we had this conversation, my oldest daughter and I would take them on these walks. And we were walking along, this was a couple summers ago, and I was in one of those moods where I was lecturing them, and Jordan, my oldest, who's now 14, she had been going to lacrosse, and she was told to practice so much during the evenings and, on their own, and she hadn't done it. So I said, yeah, and you hadn't even practiced the lacrosse like your coach told you to, and walking along, and all of a sudden I don't feel any footsteps behind me any longer, right? So I stop and I kind of turn around, and both of my girls had just stopped, and Jordan, I walked back, and Jordan says, Dad, I'm not going to be a professional athlete. You need to know that. And it really was kind of a punch in the stomach to me, and I bent down and I said, darling, I don't think you're going to be a professional athlete, but you're going to be something. You're going to be something in life. I mean, I don't know what that is, and you may not even know yet what it is, but you're going to go to college, you're going to get an education, you're going to be a teacher, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be, whatever it is. But whatever that thing is that you become, you want to be good at it. And to be good at it, you have to work at it. And so that was a little bit of my athletic background and just trying to explain to them. And I try to impress upon both of my girls that, if you're going to be good at anything and if something's important to you, you have to invest the time. And I think that as athletes, we certainly learn that.
I remember I interviewed you at our church back in the day. You remember that?
I sure do.
Okay. And I remember after the interview, people were like, man, can you see Troy? Can you believe Troy how good he is? And I told people, like, well, it doesn't really surprise me in a way. But how have you done that? Because you, from all-world football, all-world announcer.
I work at it just like I did when I was playing. I mean,
Oh, I know.
You can't fake it, right?
No.
So I think you got to put in the time, and I just try to be as prepared as I can be and be honest and yet respectful of the guys that are there doing it, because I know that when I played, it's not an easy game, and I don't want to be the armchair quarterback who's constantly saying, "Wow, you got to do this." I got to point those things out, but at the same time, it's hard.
Yes, it is.
So I try to point out, maybe especially with quarterback play, why a quarterback threw that interception or why he did this instead of this, and shed a little light on that. And then at the same time, try to be honest about it.
Have you, I know you've worked your rear off, but has anyone worked with you in speaking?
No, I've never had any formal
incredible.
coaching.
I'm serious.
I think that the one thing that we get away with as analysts, where as a play-by-play guy, like my partner is Joe Buck.
Yes, I don't know Joe.
He was an English major, or whatever it was,
yeah.
and they get critiqued on a little different scale. I mean, we come into it with a very low bar. right? As an athlete, we come in, nobody thinks
It's
we
pretty
can't.
low, that's right.
In fact,
He
you're
can
going,
speak.
I mean, you're saying right now, wow, you can actually talk. I mean, how did you do that?
I got it. Okay,
So,
yeah.
you know, so we get a little bit more leeway than some of the others in our business.
Do they ever like say, Troy, you say this phrase too much?
Oh yeah.
Okay, tell me the phrases.
Well, the one phrase, Joe would say something, and my response to that very early on was always, you're absolutely right. And then boom, I'd go on and say what I say. And then finally, my producer said, you don't have to say it. Just say what you're going to say. But there are little things that you find yourself saying, and you've got to, either you have to pick it up when you go back and you watch the tape, or you're hopeful that you do have a producer or a friend at home or somebody that can be, critically honest and say, hey, look, this doesn't work. And fortunately, I've got people that are not afraid to tell me what doesn't work.
Well, see, we have a critique meeting after every service where they kind of rip apart, not in a mean way, everything from worship we're doing, video, and the message. And, my kids have like top 10 dad's phrases that are worn out. So the kids help me a lot too, and also people just around me, like, man, Ed, you're wearing that out. So, Troy, as a quarterback, going back to Cowboy days, you look at defenses. Tell me what you have to do in a split second, like to pull off the play. I mean, I know you will sometimes change the play. Talk to us about that, some of the armchair experts.
Yeah, I think, you get the play in from the sideline, you make the call, and as you're making the call, you're kind of envisioning or I did anyway, the play unfolding in your head as to what you expect. And you're walking to the line, and with a pass play, for instance, you anticipate, okay, where am I protected, where am I not protected? Because every pass play has a protection, and not all of them are max protection. So there's always some vulnerabilities in that. And you have to, first of all, know whether or not you have enough protection to block all the guys that will be rushing. After that, then you go to the safeties and see what's happening with them at the snap of the ball. And they try to disguise, but the safeties will determine what the coverage is. So off of that, then you know immediately where you're going to go with the football, at least on your first read. And then you determine whether or not the guy's open. If he is, bang. If he's not, you get to the second guy, third guy. All that within, obviously a short amount of time, and with the added element of a pass rush, that you're trying to maybe, while you're looking downfield, avoid this guy, you kind of feel things. So it's not always, I think in our game that people evaluate quarterbacks and they immediately think that, okay, well, the biggest, the strongest, the biggest arm, the fast guy that can make people miss and run. All those things are great, but there's so many other elements to be great at this game as a quarterback. And a lot of it is really being able to process information and make good decisions under duress. And I think that's the important thing for any quarterback.
Okay, listen, if I go to a game, I remember back in the day, people would criticize you. It's criticized, anytime you do anything, as you know, people criticize. I heard you say this one time. You said, Ed, whatever someone is thinking in the stands, or even in the media, he said, we've thought about it thousands of times already. That's a brilliant line. What do you tell people, leaders, others, about criticism?
Well, it's an interesting question because we're in a different time now because everyone has a platform to express the criticism. So if you want to see criticism, do a Twitter search on any broadcaster's name, mine included, during the actual broadcast. I mean, and if you go back and you search your name, and you see what a lot of people are talking about, and it's not favorable. People just don't say positive things. I think, what I get from it is I know when I hear critics if there's some validity to what they're saying, and say, well, I respect that person. And I think there is some truth to maybe what they're saying, and to me that's very constructive.
Yes.
The other side of it, if it's criticism, which is some, there's a lot of, mean-spirited, hateful, people, and you just try to put that in its proper category as well. And I don't know. I think we're at a time, especially for young kids, it's hard. It's really hard. I mean, I got my girls, and they're on the Snapchat and Instagram and all that kind of stuff, and. Occasionally they'll run into me and say, hey, Dad, look at this, and they'll have their feelings hurt, and we got to sit and talk about it. But I don't know that I have a great answer for it, other than just really, I guess, trying to evaluate where exactly the criticism's coming from. Because sometimes you can learn a lot from it
Yes.
if it's coming from the right people.
Yeah,
and
the
take
right
it the
people,
right way.
and they have the right tenor and tone. Sometimes I tell young people, it's like, I don't know, it's like social media is sports center living, highlight reel living. It's not really
Right.
the real thing. So I think it's important who you listen to, good, bad, or ugly.
Well, and I think the other thing too is that all of us, I'm on social media, I'm on Facebook, I'm on,
Yeah, we all
Twitter and all that. And we all share our best moments.
Yes, we do.
Our most favorable moments of our day or our week or our life. And I guess as we should. But I think sometimes, and that's really I think the crux of it all, and people are trying to sift through it, that, life's hard. I mean, I got a great
Yes,
life.
it
You've
is.
got a great life. The
Yes.
life is great,
Yes.
but it doesn't mean there's not tough moments for all of us. And sometimes you lose sight of that if you're a young person finding your way.
Yes.
And you just think that, gosh, this person's never had a difficult day in their life. And I just think, especially in a day when celebrity is really important, I think to a lot of our youth, they look up at the people who are, I don't even know who the relevant celebrities are for these kids anymore, but whoever they are, they didn't get there without a lot of trials and a lot of tough
That's
times.
true.
And it's like what you're saying, that snapshot of them or what you see of them on stage, that really isn't their life. I mean, they've been through a lot, and not all of it real positive. And so I think kids need to understand that and know that they're going to have difficult times themselves. I think it's important. I tell my girls all the time, it's important to surround yourself with
Yes.
good people, And even for me, I mean, I got to a point many years ago, this just didn't happen, but many years ago, I just finally said, you know what? I just want to be around people that inspire me in some way.
That is the
don't just pull me
truth.
down. And I think I've been able to do that. And fortunately, a lot of those longtime friends that I've had, they do inspire me. So
Yeah.
they've gotten to hang around for a while.
You know, I heard someone say, Troy, and I've tried to live by this. I remember I would go to certain places or whatever, and I thought, all right, people sort of like me, okay, but they more tolerate me. And somebody goes, Ed, don't go where you're tolerated, go where you're celebrated. And I don't mean like, oh, you're great, but I mean like, they,
Yeah.
and once I made that decision, I think about a decade ago, it really helped me because, I don't know, I think in everyone's life, you have those relational challenges, and you gotta move toward the right people in your life. And when you do that, not that you're dissing people, but you gotta, Troy, I got something else I gotta share with you. We're almost done. Troy, I wrote this play out on a napkin. And in my opinion, Troy, even though you're Hall of Fame, whatever, I think you were even underrated. I think you're one of the best quarterbacks ever. But Troy, I think if you'd have run this play about 2 or 3 times a game, I think you'd have had a longer career.
Yeah.
What do you think? See, and Troy, look, I even drew it out. See, I did draw it out for Romo, but I took him, I put number 8. What do you think about that? If like you drop back, Statue of Liberty, maybe like Michael Irvin, whatever, would he come that way? Where would he be?
That's old school.
What do you- yeah,
yeah,
what do you
Irvin
think?
would have been over here.
Okay.
Then he would have then come back around. I don't know if we'd have fooled anybody, but it would have looked good.
Yeah, but Troy, so the Statue of Liberty. So you're saying it would change your career, aren't you? Right? You're saying.
Well,
I've
you
already
are.
done this.
Yeah, you are. I'll go along with it.
Okay. So the Statue of Liberty is this: you go back, right, and like you're passing, and they take it from you, or do you hand it off behind you? How do you?
No,
do it?
well, I've never actually seen it run, but I guess you act like you're passing, and they come running by and take it off your hand.
I used to do that, like in touch football, flag football.
How'd it work?
Yeah, oh, it was incredible. Incredible.
I'll pass it on to Jason Garrett. We'll see if maybe they'll run.
Yeah, you do that. That would be excellent. Joy, can you imitate Jerry Jones very well? I can't. Okay. It's okay. How's it sound?
I tell you, the best quarterback we've ever had was Troy.
Is that pretty good? Pretty good. Okay, I gotta show Troy though. Okay, Troy, I've been doing this. I made this up.
Oh God.
I call this the Hugolution. I was back in the day, give me 5, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, now, all the cool people, it's all this. What's up, man? But that's all right. But I invented this, and I've shared this with a couple people.
It's called the Hugolution.
And you, powerful guy, strong guy, Troy, a lot of stress. Here we go, watch this. You go here, watch it, boom, and you just boom, on the shoulder. Let me tell you what it does. Gives you a nanosecond of rest during the What do you think? Boom, that's it. Maybe you and Joe Buck or whoever. Yeah. Yeah, you like it?
It's not bad. You just have to explain it before you do it each time.